morning, everyone. Welcome to Erie's Black Wall Street's second live Lunch Convos. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Kyra Taylor, Executive Director of Erie's Black Wall Street, and I'll be your host for this engaging session today. For those who are joining us for the first time, Live Lunch Convos is a series where we connect with professionals and experts across various fields to share insights, foster community connections, and discuss relevant issues impacting our community. We aim to provide valuable information and perspectives that can inspire and empower you in your personal and professional lives. Today, we're thrilled to dive into a topic that impacts us all, whether we're aware of it or not: why good design matters. Design influences everything around us, from the products we use to the spaces we inhabit, and even the way we communicate. Good design can enhance functionality, create memorable experiences, and even drive positive social change. So I am honored to have with us today Vanni, the owner of AG Graphics, a leading graphic design company. Gio has extensive experience in the field and brings a wealth of knowledge about the importance of good design and its impact on businesses and communities. So Gio, thank you so much for joining us today. And whether you're tuning in from work, home, or on the go, we encourage you to participate actively. Feel free to drop your questions and comments in the chat, and we'll try to address as many as possible during the session. So without further ado, let's welcome Gio and dive into our discussion on why good design matters. So Gio, thank you for joining us today. Can you start just by telling us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into graphic designs, and like what inspired you to create AG Graphics?
Well, thank you for having me, for one. For two, I've been doing a lot of artwork. I mean, I started in high school. I took commercial art in high school, and I was really hands-on, like with painting and drawing and everything like that. And then I turned to music. I was a participant in music, and we didn't have anybody to do our flyers or posters or anything like that. So I started doing our own thing, and then I kind of just really fell in love with that aspect of it. So I just went full force into that. And I've been in love with it ever since.
Awesome. So what inspired you to say, hey, I want to start my own graphic company?
Once I seen that everybody had a need for it, but like the old saying goes, I'm a jack of many trades, master of none.
Okay.
I just felt like everybody was trying to do everything, and it was just like, if I can master this, then I could corner that market. And then I know I can deliver high quality materials, whether it's flyers, business cards, posters, brochures, whatever it is. Because we all know that the first impression means everything. So I
Absolutely.
just kind of fell in love with the passion of trying to help everybody look their best digitally.
Awesome. Can you share some of your favorite projects you've worked on since starting your company?
Well, in alignment with the job that I have, my 9 to 5 job, the biggest project to date I have was doing the rebranding and signage of the Cathedral Prep Sports Center. So
Okay.
on 12th Street, everything you see there, all the way down to the parking signs to the big billiards on the fences, I designed all of that.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
that was the biggest one I've done.
Cool. So, what are some of the challenges you faced when starting your own business, and how did you overcome them?
Some of the challenges you face is just like, is this really going to work? If I put everything into this, is this really going to pay off? And just trying to do everything yourself is very challenging. Um, but once you take a step back and actually realize and dive deep into what you need to do in every aspect, it seems overwhelming, but it really isn't. So just having enough courage and faith to do it on your own, I think is pretty big.
Yeah, that is Very, very true. You're actually in our Vanguard Erie program too, trying to just increase your business knowledge too. So I commend you on that effort as well. So let's just dive into the world of graphic design. And so you kind of touched on it a little bit, but why is having a strong visual identity important for businesses today? And how do you think that good graphic design can impact a business's brand, visibility, and their customer base?
Well, good design is basically your handshake, more or less. So when somebody comes to your business and takes a look at it, like I mentioned before, the first impression is everything. So if you look at something and it looks real low grade, real low quality, or anything, people are probably not going to be too enticed to spend money with you or even hear what you got to say. You could be the best at what you do in your design field or whatever field it is, but if you don't come off that way, people are probably not going to spend any time with you. So I always encourage people, even if it's just a logo, even if nothing else, your logo should always be professional and high quality. And then you could kind of branch off of everything else off of that. So a good design, especially if you're putting yourself out there, whether it's a business, an event, whatever it is, as soon as people see that first flyer, that first brochure, that business card, they're going to automatically pass judgment on you. It's not fair, but it's just what it is. And we got to hold standards to what we present to other people because us as consumers, not only as business owners, we also do it subconsciously too. We look at something like, nah, I'm good on that. So you just kind of got to present yourself in a way that you're professional and you know what you're doing.
Mhm. Oh, I completely agree. You and I have had some conversations offline about the importance of good design. Me having being an art major myself and an artist, I always love to create, and I can tell that my designs went from mediocre to now I think they're pretty good. But we have seen some flyers that are extremely difficult to read and have a bunch of other problems. And so I thank you for actually wanting to share some examples. So we're going to share an example of a flyer that was, it was okay, but then how you made it into something that was even better. So I'm going to share our first flyer here. And if you just want to talk about in this what was good, what was bad, what was mediocre, and how they needed to improve, and then we can show or the new flyer that you did for it.
Okay, so like this one, the colors that they chose in this were amazing. I mean, it really, really popped. It's bright, grabs your attention. Um, but the layout was just off, you know. You could tell that they wanted to have it come off as not so stern and hard and cold, but fun and just inviting for a good time. Now they did have a lot of information they were trying to get on this flyer. So it's really, really busy, but with the right layout, you can still fit everything on there in a more appeasing way. So it doesn't look like it's just what we call word vomit.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like they're just words thrown on a page and an attempt to, for the sake of getting everything on there.
Right. When I looked at this
So
flyer,
when
oh,
they
go ahead.
approached me, these people actually did not approach me to redo their flyer. They just approached me to participate in the event and kind of spread the word. And when I read deeper into the event itself and what it stood for, I just decided to redo the flyer on my own and present it to them, and they absolutely loved it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And it was for an amazing event. What I noticed when I first saw this flyer was everything's the spacing on some things, like the word fun. The F is extremely close to the letter Y. There's a space in between the F and the U for fun. Um, I immediately got that it was for autism awareness. Um, the um, date, I actually liked it being so large because it really drew my attention. Okay, that's something that I need to know. But like you said, it was there's a lot going on here. And for our neurodivergent folks or folks with ADD or ADHD, this can be overwhelming. And so, I totally skipped out on that section that's right next to the date, and immediately went down and I saw the all of the logos at the bottom, and I thought that those were kind of like there wasn't any symmetry there. I seen that, I don't know. It's a lot going on. And so I will um I will pull up the next one. Let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing there. All right, here we go. All right, can we see that one?
Yep.
Okay. And do you want to just talk about this one?
Yeah, so this is the revision I did for them. Um, I kind of kept mainly the same colors that they were using in the same field that they wanted to come across with the flyer that they did. I just made it really predominant about the kids and the fact that it was for autism with the puzzle pieces. Um, and then as far as the information, I just broke it down in color block sections. So the flow of the flyer will go from top to the bottom. And they actually added all the logos. I just left that space blank for them to add all the logos. So for them to put them in the way that they did, um, worked out very well, I think, compared to their other one.
Oh, yeah.
Um, Now this flyer, it's got the main focal point, which is the biggest part of the flyer, but it still leaves space that all the information is not missed and very legible.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was blown away. I love the puzzle pieces standing up, but I also love what you did with the puzzle pieces on the ground, and how you created some depth to this image. Um, And then I immediately also noticed the color blocking. So my eyes were able to easily read everything. I understood exactly what was going to happen at the event. And then I love that, the collaboration on this particular flyer that you allowed them to put in the vendors. I think how they did it at the bottom in that space was perfect. It's very neat, it's organized, and now I can see all of the sponsors or the participants in this particular event. And so I think that this one was absolutely phenomenal. What are some other don'ts, if you would, when it comes to creating an event flyer?
Um, so a lot of times what I've noticed is when people create event flyers, they kind of repeat themselves in certain different areas where they probably didn't catch it at first. Um, they're just, trying to get so much information on there that they don't realize that they just repeated themselves.
Hmm.
Um, and I think less is more when it comes to certain things. Now, if you're doing a corporate fundraiser or especially a fundraiser of any kind, where you're looking for donations and sponsorships like that, you will have to include a lot of the information in that. Now, as far as like, say, a car wash or a birthday party or anything like that, less is more. Make the main focal point about the main part of the event, and then just include the major details like date, time, location, things like that. So I wouldn't get too wordy unless it's absolutely necessary. And then, like I said, that would be for like sponsorships or corporate galas or anything like that.
So say a person has a health and wellness business and they're promoting a certain product that they have, what would what would you suggest, like, the layout of that flyer be? Would you suggest putting the product front and center at the top, or putting some information about the product and then showing the product below that? Just how would you, off the top of your head, organize that?
What I would do is, first off, I would split the background in two colors. Um, White and then whatever your predominant color of the product is. Then I would make sure the product is center focus, make it real catchy, whatever the product is, spice it up, add whatever you got to add to it to make it look really professional, really attractive to your clientele. And then I would put the product name and information below it in a bold but legible font. Nothing that's crazy, nothing that's just going to overtake the product itself, but big enough for you to read and want to engage in the description of the product, and also include your logo.
So you mentioned professionalism and you've mentioned really wanting to catch people's eyes. So let's go on to another topic, is actually having a marketing budget. For small business owners who might have limited budgets, what advice could you give them on creating? Well, first, let's say that we need to have a budget when it comes to our businesses, right? In marketing, there needs to be some type of budget. And the age old saying, you got to spend money to make money. So that's one of the things that we should be investing in. But for small business owners who have limited budgets, what advice could you give them on creating an effective marketing strategy?
Well, you definitely need to have some kind of budget when it comes to your marketing. Um, Now it's going to be up to you where you want to spend the majority of that budget on. And that goes back to me saying that you should always make sure your logo, if nothing else, is professional. And then sometimes you get designers like me, like if you're starting up and you say, hey man, listen, I really need this. This is my budget. Most of the time we'll be able to work with you on the budget that you have. Um, but you can't come to us like I got $30. I need a logo, brochure. I mean, even to us, we're not, I mean, that's a handout at that point. Um, but having a budget for marketing is very, very important because anything you do, you're going to need to advertise it in some way. Some way you're going to have to advertise it. And like I said, the way it comes off and the way people see it is can hurt or boost whatever you're trying to do. So marketing is very, very key, and having that budget is very important too.
Can you talk about any, like, cost, excuse me, cost effective ways that businesses can invest in their marketing and branding?
Was one thing you guys put me onto is Canva, which I was always against being a designer, but now that I've messed around with it, I'm far more open to it. They do have really good templates that you can use to do what you need to do. Um, Obviously, they're not as good as having your own designer, but they will get the point across on what you need to do and won't look tacky. So that's always a route that you can take if you really do not have a budget for a designer or marketing. Um, in AI nowadays is getting super crazy. The designers are actually fighting against AI because in some aspects AI could do the same thing we could do, but you really have to know the your way around AI and being able to use that legally. So it's just kind of here and there, but there are services you can use if you do not have a budget at all.
Mhm. You mentioned Canva. I love Canva, for the same exact reason you mentioned. But I see a lot of people when they're using Canva that they're still adding in additional things, and you still have you have to have an eye for design still, even if you're using Canva. Because if you don't and you're adding a bunch of stuff to it, or it's getting jumbled, you're gonna lose the whole template that you started with. You're going to make it so that your design is not coming across correctly. I actually saw this the other day. I meant to catch a little screenshot of it, but I forgot to. Um, it was a flyer of somebody who was using Canva's free services. Canva has a free and a paid service, right? And so the paid service is like $20 a month, and it gives you access to all of these different images. Well, they use the free version, but put in a paid version image, and it had Canva's watermark all over it, and they put that out into and I was absolutely mortified. So definitely we want to keep in mind that even if we can do it, if it's not something that's in our skill set, maybe we do need to reach out to a professional designer like you and others. I'm a fan of YouTube University. But once again, if you don't have that eye for design, definitely, people need to reach out and get some professional help, because we want everybody's businesses to succeed and to flourish. So just to pivot just for a little bit, we have a few minutes left. How do you stay inspired and keep your creative juices flowing?
Well, in the design world, like one of the biggest things I use to see what new is going on and things like that, believe it or not, is TikTok. TikTok is filled with designers and artists, and they're always uploading their new ways of designing. This is the new fad. This is the new way we're doing things. And it's just amazing how quickly everything is changing. And but at the same time, they're also bringing back old ways of what we were doing to the new ways. And with that combination, it's just crazy on what we could do. And the fact that the more we move forward, everything we design becomes much more realistic. Like
Mhm.
it almost looks like it's real. Like the one thing I'm doing right now is mastering my metal. So there's things I could do that make it look like real metal, and it just amazes me. I'm like, wow, like I did that, and it looks real, like metal.
Wow.
But there's other things with the AI as our assistant and not our enemy. There's a million things we could do all through design, and the tools that we have is just only going to help our customers because we're going to help you stand out as the new age and trendy and up to date as well.
Nice. Um, what is what's the funniest or most unusual design request you've ever received?
Well, since we're so good with Photoshop, the and it's usually just can you remove this person from the photo? But there are times where they have some wild requests for gag gifts and adding body parts, removing body parts, things like that. It could get pretty wild. It could get pretty wild. People got some really wild imaginations, and the fact that you could bring it to life, I think, really helps them. And I've got a lot of clients off of that, just off of that alone. So it's funny, it's weird, but I mean, it's helped. So I'm not complaining.
Nice. Um, just to get your final thoughts, um, what advice would you give to aspiring graphic designers who want to start their own business?
I would definitely advise new designers to contact existing designers because I used to think we were all greedy with our knowledge. But there's no way I could design what another designer designs. I mean, that's just our fingerprint. So we're always going to be very protective of our vision, but our knowledge we are so welcome to spreading because there's things that you might know that I don't know that I need to know, and vice versa. So if you're going to start a business as a graphic designer, just sit down with one of us designers already and just ask questions. It's just like anything else. The more you ask, the more you'll find out. And just ask questions about every part of the business because there's more to it than just designing in a computer. So I would definitely suggest sitting down with designers that you know or that you may not know, or just the ones that are in the field that you're looking to do. Just sit down and ask questions.
Okay. How can people get in touch with you or learn more about AG Graphics?
My main force of contact is Facebook. Um, I don't know why, but it's just Facebook. But you could find me on AG Graphics on Facebook, or you can hit my personal page, which is Giovanni. You can follow me on Instagram at AG Graphics on there. You can email me aggraphics@gmail.com. Um, I'm not too hard to get a hold of, and most of the time people tag me in work I've done for them.
Mhm.
So once you see my designs, it's kind of easy to say, I know who designed that,
Mhm.
and then you can reach out.
Oh, and for people who don't know, it is tagged correctly on our page, but tell them how to spell graphics.
It is AGGRFX.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
So, Gio, thank you for sharing your valuable insights on why good design matters. Your expertise has given us a deeper understanding of the importance of design in our everyday lives and how it can significantly impact our businesses and communities. We also want to remind our viewers that, like we just said, if you're looking for top notch graphic design services, Gio and his team at AG Graphics are highly recommended. Their creativity and professionalism can help you elevate your brand and your projects to the next level. So be sure to reach out to him for all your graphic needs. And before we wrap up, I'd just like to remind everyone about Erie Gives Day on August 13th. Erie's Black Wall Street relies on the generosity of our community to continue our mission of economic empowerment and community development. So your donations make a huge difference in supporting our programs and initiatives. So please consider donating to EBWS on Erie Gives Day. Every contribution, no matter the size, helps us create a positive impact. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your time and your participation. Stay tuned for our next live Lunch Convos session with Dawn Frisbee of PA Humanities, where we dive into why sharing our family stories is an essential part of keeping our history. And don't forget to follow us on all social media for updates and additional resources. And if I could leave you with any word today, I would say remember that when we empower each other with knowledge, we help our community thrive. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.